All right, we about to get into our book. I wanted to see if this that girl.
About that shit. My ex, I mean, the person I'm with now, about me comparing myself to certain people.
Oh, all right, we getting in our book, The New World Order by Ralph Epperson. Man, this has been good. We're gonna do the hierarchy, Masonic obligations, and the 33rd degree, and then I'm gonna shut it down for the night because I'm already tired. The hierarchy. Alice Bailey, one of the leaders of the New Age movement, and she was a student of Helena Blavatsky, who wrote Isis Unveiled and the Secret Doctrine on the demonic possession. And I went so deep in studying Alice Bailey, and they had these. I shouldn't even talk about this before I go to bed, but Dinah groups and the light rays and all this stuff. And I went so deep. I had a dream about this woman and a portal opened. And I was like, it was like telling me to come in. And I woke up. I'm like, oh man, I ain't go no further than that. I could tell you that. But anyway, but she started Lucis Trust, which was Lucifer Trust, when she published the book. And they have a temple inside of the United Nations in New York that she set up along with a bookstore. The Satanists actually go in there and they sit in on United Nations meetings. What does that tell you? Till this day. Anyway, she reported that a group existed that she called the hierarchy that possessed enormous power. She wrote that she actually visited this group during one of their meetings. As one of the masters unknown to you remarked at a meeting of the members of the hierarchy a few weeks ago, she further amplified her thoughts. The hierarchy directs world events so that the unfolding consciousness may express itself through developing and adequate social, political, religious, and economic world figures or forms. They give direction, they throw a light, they definitely influence the tide of human affairs. The hierarchy receives the esoteric fire of God, which brings to an end cycles, ideologies, organizations, and civilizations when the due and right time comes. According to Miss Bailey, these masters have been working for the good of man for millions of years. The hierarchy has stood in silence behind world events occupied with the flowing work, a work which will eventually be carried on esoterically, meaning in the open, instead of esoterically, meaning hidden. And that's two different spellings. X E E exatorially, meaning in the open, instead of ES torically, meaning hidden. She wrote an answer to the question of what her supporters would do facilitate their work. She admitted that they could teach the law of evolution and its inevitable coronary perfect man. Men must be taught that such great souls exist and exist entirely to serve their fellow man. The public must be familiarized with their names and attributes, with their work and purpose, and men must be told they are coming forth for the salvation of the world. Another hint that the world is not run by people that the public thinks was provided by Manly P. Hall in his book The Secret Teachings of All Ages. The sanctuary of wisdom wherein dwell the real rulers of the world, the initiated philosophers. It appears as if Mr. Hall is indicating that those who have been initiated into Lucifer worship are the real rulers of the world. That is certainly not what the people of the world believe. But Mr. Hall has actually gone further and identified those who truly rule the world. He added this revealing thought in his book, The Lost Keys of Freemasonry. Masonry is an ordainer of kings. Its hand has shaped the question of worlds or destinies of worlds. But even if the people do not know that their rulers are not the visible hands of these governments, Albert Pike pointed out that they will soon demand that they be led by these people. He wrote in his book Morals and Dogma, the world will soon come to us for its sovereignty and pontiffs. We shall constitute the equilibrium of the universe and be rulers over the masses of the world. And Manly P. Hall wrote, the people will be soon asking that the illuminated ones rule the world. The criers of the mystery speak again, bidding all men welcome to the house of light. The great institution of materiality has failed. Religion wanders aimlessly in the maze of theological speculation. Only the illumined reason can carry the understanding part of man upward to the light. Private property, called materiality by Mr. Hall, has failed. Religion has not succeeded in solving man's problems. The people will soon demand that someone else with a new set of solutions step forward. And those with the light of Lucifer are waiting to step forward to rule. There is no adequate explanation as to why some people want to rule others, but history is replete with individuals, groups, organizations, nations, and conspiracies, all of whom have wanted to rule over others. One satisfactory answer as to why it so comes from a book written by B.F. Skinner, Walden Two. He said, I've had only one idea in my life, the idea of having my own way. Control, express it, the control of human behavior. It has frenzied, selfish desire to dominate. I remember the rage I used to feel when a certain prediction went away. I could have shouted at the subjects of my experiments, behave, behave as you ought. The world knows that there are people who have desired power over the lives of others. History is strewn with the carnage of those who wanted to rule the world. Masons, believers in the New Age movement, the communists, the Illuminati, and others want to control human behavior. The moral mind of the population in general cannot comprehend the desire for power. All that the citizens of the world can do is become aware of that strong compulsion and to try to prevent those who desire power over others from gaining control. The new age appears to be on schedule, and those who are anxious to lead the world of the future are preparing themselves for the task. Wow. Masonic Obligations, Chapter 24. The Scottish Rite of Freemasons has a total of 33 initiation ceremonies, one for each of the first 32 earned degrees and one for the honorary degree called the 33rd degree. Students of Masons can know just what the initiation rites of various degrees consist of. Many individuals, such as Masons, ex-Masons, and historians who have researched the Masonic lodges, have described the exact content of the ceremonies in a variety of books and articles. For instance, it is possible to know how Masons protect themselves from harm by reading part of the oath the Mason takes during the initiation ceremony of the third degree, called the Master Mason degree. The initiated binds himself to this oath. Father, further, I will keep a worthy brother Master Mason's secrets inviolable, when communicated to and received by me as such, murder and treason accepted. Further, I will not cheat, wrong, or defraud a Master Mason lodge, nor a brother of this degree knowingly, nor supplant him in any of the laudable undertakings, but will give him due and timely notice that he may ward off all danger. That means that any Mason who determines that a fellow Mason has committed or is about to commit a crime, murder, or treason accepted will be oath bound not to report him to proper authorities. A Mason who tells a fellow Mason that he is going to blackmail a non Mason can know that the hearer will not report him. And if the first Mason learns that the blackmailing Mason is about to be arrested for his crime, the first Mason must report this discovery to the other Mason. But these examples of Masonic oaths are but a small part of evidence. The student can learn about the other commitments that the initiation Mason ob- obligates himself to. Another book that explains this is the Masonic Handbook, and it further explains these commitments. If you're on jury and the defendant is a Mason and makes the grand hailing sign, a secret sign that identifies one Mason to another, you must be sure not to bring the Mason guilty, for that would bring disgrace upon our order. It may be perjury to be sure to do this, but then you're fulfilling your obligation, and you know if you live up to your obligations, you'll be free from sin. And the handbook goes on further. If you cheat, wrong, or defraud any other society or individual, it is entirely your own business. If you cheat the government, even Masonry cannot and will not touch you. But be very careful not to cheat, wrong, or defraud a brother Mason or a lodge. Whoever you may defraud, live up to your obligation and you'll be free from sin. Wow. You must conceal all the crimes of your brother Masons, except murder and treason, and these only at your own option. And should you be summoned as a witness against a brother Mason, be always sure to shield him. Don't always tell the whole truth in this case. Keep his secrets. Forget the most important point. It may be perjury to do this. It is true, but you're keeping your obligation. And remember, if you live up to your obligation strictly, you'll be free from sin. The Mason also redefines the two words adultery and chastity. Furthermore, do I promise and swear that I will not violate the chastity of a Master Mason's wife, mother, sister, or daughter, I knowing them to be such, nor suffer it to be done by others, if in my power to prevent it. Critics of this part of the initiation ceremony observe that this restriction, in essence, allows the Master Mason to engage in adultery with any other wife, mother, sister, or daughter, just as long as that woman is not connected to another Master Mason. Wow. It would appear that a better reading of that oath would be something like this. Furthermore, I do promise and swear that I will not violate the chastity of anyone's wife, mother, sister, or daughter, especially be they connected to a fellow Master Mason. But that is not what the oath taken by the 33rd degree says. That oath implies that the permission is given to violate any other woman just as long as they are not connected to another Master Mason. A brief summary of the book Introduction to Freemasonry he wrote, Carl Claudy, We keep our brother's secrets, guilty or innocent. It makes no difference in what way our brother stumbles. We are not told to stretch forth the hand in aid if and perhaps and but. Excuse me. Not for us to judge, to condemn, to admonish, for us only to put forth our strength until our failing brother at his need without question and without stint. So the Mason protects his fellow Masons even if they commit murder or treason. And the Masons teach their fellow Masons that certain forms of adultery are acceptable. As has already been explained, the Mason takes oath to obey orders from his superiors inside the Masonic order. Albert Mackey wrote in the Encyclopedia of Freemasonry, the first duty of every Mason is to obey the mandate of the Master. The Masonic rule of obedience is like the nocturnal imperative: obey orders even if you break others or if you break owners. So the Masons obey orders, protect criminal activities, be it necessary, and are free to commit adultery with anyone other than a fellow Mason's wife, child, mother, or sister. And the average citizen continues to believe that it teaches its members good values. And worldwide, men of rank, wealth, office, and talent continue to join it. 33rd degree. As has previously discussed, some of the most respected Masonic writers have been awarded the honorary 33rd degree. This includes Albert Pike, Albert Mackey, Manly P. Hall. Mr. Hall has instructed his readers just how important the 33rd degree is. Philosophically, the 33rd degree of the ancient accepted Scottish Rite represents its innermost sanctuary of Masonic mysticism. The 33rd degree is reportedly the smallest circle of the inner entire Masonic lodge, having the least number of members of any degree inside the lodge. It is believed by many that this is where the ultimate power resides. In fact, the 33rd degree council, the one that resides in Washington, D.C., claims to be the mother council of the world and the mother jurisdiction of the world. One of the reasons why this degree is important is because it appears that it possesses the knowledge of the final secret of Masons. In fact, the candidate receiving the 32nd degree is told that he still has not reached the light. One of the symbols explaining this truth to the 33rd degree Mason is the symbol of this degree, the phoenix. Wow! Oh my God! The phoenix bird. The dictionary defines the phoenix bird as an Egyptian myth, a beautiful long bird which lived in the Arabian desert for 500 years and then consumed itself in fire, rising renewed from the ashes to start another long life. Wow! The phoenix bird is dramatically depicted on the cover of Albert Pike's book Morals and Dogma. It is shown up as well on the covers of pamphlets circulated by the 33rd degree Masons. It is an object of jewelry worn around the neck by the 33rd degree Masons. Manly Hall wrote, "The phoenix bird is the symbol of the reborn in wisdom, and that the phoenix was regarded as sacred to the sun." So the phoenix bird is a symbol of the sun and of the rebirth of man into new religion, the religion where wisdom and reason become God. Others in their writings have indicated that they also understand the symbology of the phoenix. Fred Giddings wrote in Secret Symbolism of the Occult, The phoenix bird will live for a period of 500 years, at the end of which it builds itself a nest of precious spices. The nest completed, the phoenix sings a song and then flaps its wings to set the nest on fire. The bird is soon burned to ashes, and from this mass of carbon, three miraculously springs to life a new phoenix. Phoenix rising from the ashes. Wow. We may see in this myth certain ideas which have appealed to them. From the ashes of the burned material forms there could spring forth new life. The phoenix is linked with the sun. The phoenix birth symbolized a rebirth not only of individual inside the Masonic religion, but also of the new civilization arising out of the ashes of the ruined one. According to this symbol, the world has been destroyed by the religious teachings of God, and as soon as these beliefs are eliminated from the world, a new civilization will be built upon a new religion. That religion will be constructed on a belief in the unrestricted use of man's reason. This appears to be the true meaning of the phoenix bird, utilized as a symbol by the 33rd degree Mason. But it appears that there is one more secret of the Mason's order, and it is taught to the initiates of the 33rd degree. This explanation of the final secret is one that is not available to any of the 32nd degrees. It appears that this secret is only hinted at in those degrees, but is actually described to at least some of the initiates of the 33rd degree. Evidence has been presented in previous chapters that the Masons conceal the fact that they are out to avenge the murder of their legendary hero, Hiram Abiff. Their writers have told their readers that the three assassins of the Master Mason are described as being actual individuals in the actual rituals. Wow. But the true symbols of the real assassins, the institutions of the church and the state. So the real goal of the Masons is the actual destruction of organized religion. That is a fact. And national governments. That's a fact. Rex Hutchins, a 32nd degree Mason, he wrote in a book, A Bridge to Light, that the axe used as a symbol in the 22nd degree should remind the Masons of the march of civilization and progress which required him to hew the poisonous trees of intolerance, bigotry, superstition, uncharitableness, and idleness to let in the light of truth and reason upon the human mind. According to this position, mankind's problem is that he has not been allowed free exercise of his reason by God, who restricts man with a series of thou shalt and thou shalt not. If religion were out of the way, the illuminated mind of the superintelligent could build a paradise here on earth. The unrestricted use of man's mind is the solution to the problems of the earth. Wow. According to this view, religion has been the source of all of man's problems. All that must be done is to abolish religion, and the world will be a paradise. That is the true meaning of Mr. Hutchins' writings. He then explains the 18th degree means. The 18th degree, the ebony crucifix, black meaning evil darkness, represents the world's treatment of those who strive to make known the truth. The lost word, one recalls, is a representative of many things: the loss of reason, intellect, and of moral sense, and the loss of true conception of deity. In the world represented in this apartment man has made not only God but the devil in his own image. According to this theory, God is a figment of man's mind. He doesn't exist. If God doesn't exist, what mankind calls religion is fictional. Man does not need religion. In fact, religion has caused immense problems all over the world. When religion disappears, man can use his mind to solve man's problems. Reason will discover man's morality, and all other problems of the past will disappear. Mr. Hutchins wrote about the 30th degree. The Great Order Templars naturally revolted against a church which demanded of its members an absolute surrender of the reason as well as the will. Once again, the church restricts mankind by not allowing him to obey his instincts or base passions. Religion teaches that there must be kept in check by a moral code. Yes, one that is given to him through the Bible. For instance, religion teaches that man is truly free if he does not take the life of his fellow man. Right. Steal his neighbor's property, take his neighbor's wife, and if he conducts himself in all his dealings with honesty and integrity. Oh yeah, I should have did. Yeah, I should have did this last. I should because I'm tired. According to Masons, the teaching of God restricts mankind's reason as well as his will. They feel that this is an intolerable situation and remedies must be sought. But since many in the world will not wish to willingly give up their religious views and will rebel if they discover that others are seeking to destroy their religion, the conspirators have to meet in secret. Hmm. So for the 30th degree, the crown represents all those kings and emperors who have usurped or abused power, reigned for themselves and not for the people, and robbed a free people of their liberty. The tiara is not a symbol of any particular religion or creed. This is not true. He states that the tiara is a pope's tiara, meaning that it's a symbol of the authority of the head of the Catholic Church. But a patron of ignorance and despotism, which is in every age, has made dupes of men and enslaved humanity through fear and superstition. So the 30th degree, the candidate learns that the night Kadesh now pursues with feet that never tire and eyes that never sleep. The personification of the three assassins of Harem, the incantation of evil, which these three were but tools. And Mr. Hutchins goes on to say, for the 32nd degree, to be a soldier of true religion, the true religion is the knowledge of Lucifer, is the true God, is to recognize the corruption of the true religion given to man. Thus we may combat with reason and truth all spiritual tyranny over the souls and conscience of men. This is the 30th degree. Number one, the crucifix used in this degree is black, meaning that it is evil and darkness. The crucifix is the symbol of Christianity, it has been for 2,000 years. But here, Mr. Hutchins tells the reader that the crucifix is a symbol of evil and darkness. Wow. Wow. So the church is considered to be a symbol of darkness and evil. The church has treated the Masons, those who are secretly preaching a new religion, with contempt. The Masons feel that the church has deprived man of his ability to utilize his reason by asking that mankind obey God's moral absolutes. The Bible claims that God made man in his own image. It is the contention of the Mason that the exact opposite is true. Man has made God in his image. Wow, you see how he flipped that? Wow. Now, Albert Pike said, men are God. Evil institutions alone have made them bad, and it is the duty of masonry and every night to aid in leading them back to the truth. The Christian perspective is that all men are sinners and they must improve themselves by freely choosing moral alternatives. But Mr. Hutchins quotes Mr. Pike that the opposite is true. But the Masons will set the record straight when they establish their control over all mankind. The 33rd degree of Masons has been described as representing the innermost sanctuary of Masonic mysticism. So this degree is the innermost center of the entire Masonic order. Here must reside the final mystery, and it appears that the public can know what that final mystery is. The motto of the 33rd degree is Ordo ab Chao, translated by the Masons meaning order out of chaos. Damn, damn. According to the Masons, the present world is in chaos because of organized religion, but it will soon be made right, and the 33rd degree Masons apparently are volunteering for that task. Adam Weishaupt, the founder of the Illuminati, he said, liberty and equality are the essential rights that man in his original and primitive perfection received from nature. Property struck the first blow at equality. Political society or governments were the first deceptors of liberty. The supporters of government and property are the religious and civil laws. Therefore, to reinstate man to his primitive rights of equality and liberty, we must begin by destroying all religions, all civil society, and finish by the destruction of all property. There is evidence that all 33rd degree Masons receive the remaining light when they go through the initiation ceremony. So, for the initiation for the 33rd degree, this is the first day. We, all the candidates for the 33rd degree, were called in one of the offices, one at a time, and interviewed by three members of the Supreme Council. And that's the headquarters. They got a Freemasonry lodge in Washington, D.C. I was ushered into the office and seated. The very first question I was asked, "Oh, what religion are you?" Not long before I would have answered with something like, "I believe the ancient mysteries, the old religion, and I believe in reincarnation." However, I found myself saying, "I am a Christian." After they sent me back out, I sat down and thought about it. When the next man came out, I asked him, "Did they ask you if you were a Christian?" He said, "Yes, they did." "What did you tell them?" I asked, and he replied, "I told them no, and I never intend to be." Then he said a strange thing to me. "They said I'm going higher," and he left through a different door, looking pleased. Wow. So, according to the 33rd degree Mason, there are two layers inside the degree, exactly as they are throughout the rest of the Masonic Lodge. Mr. Shaw, now a Christian minister, reported that nothing special happened during the other 2 days, so he returned to his home. But there was interesting comment that he made about who also was present during those 3 days. There were some extremely prominent men there, including a Scandinavian king, two former presidents of the United States, an internationally prominent evangelist, two other internationally prominent clergymen, and a very high official of the federal government. Unfortunately for the student of the Masonic order, Reverend Shaw did not identify what these men were. However, he did state the reasons why he has left Masonry. Having left Masonry after 19 years and attained the 33rd degree, I feel a duty to warn others to avoid the satanic trap of Freemasonry. The Reverend shares the view of the writer Masonry is satanic. They worship Lucifer, also known as Satan the devil. Someone has published part of the initiation ceremony of the 33rd degree. That part of the ritual is included on the pages 363 and 364 of a book called Occult Theocracy, written by Edith Miller. This book was not published until after her death in 1933. Oh, I got to see if I can find that. The following is what takes place during the 33rd degree initiation. For the Sovereign Grand Inspector General, the 33rd is the last degree of right. The order is the great avenger of the assassinated Grand Master. The 33rd degree is the avenger of the death of Herm Iblis, and the grand champion of humanity for the innocent Grand Master is man, man who is master, king of nature, man who is born innocent and unconscious. Herm is a symbol of all men, but he has fallen under the blows of three assassins, three scoundrels. The three infamous assassins are law, property, and religion. Wow. Here's the true explanation of these assassins' harm. They are law, meaning government, property, meaning the right to own private property, and religion. Mm. Law because it's not harmony with rights of the individual man and the duties of social man in society rights which belong to all. Duties are but the immediate consequences of the rights inherent in all but the enjoyment of all rights. Property because the earth beings belongs to nobody and its fruits belong to all proportion as they are required by each for the needs of their own well-being. Religion because religion is but philosophy evolved by men of genius and adopted by the people in belief that they would increase their well-being. Neither law, property, nor religion can be imposed on man as they annihilate him by depriving him of the most precious rights. They are assassins on whom we have sworn to wreak vengeance, enemies against whom we have declared war to the death and without quarter. Of those three infamous enemies, it is religion, and we must concentrate our most deadly attacks because no people has ever survived its religion. Damn, that's deep. Once religion is dead, law and property will fall to our mercy, and we shall be able to regenerate society by founding on the corpus of the assassins a man, Messianic religion, law, and Messianic property. Mm, mm, mm. So the final secret of the Masonic order has been made public. The student of Masons can now know what their goals are. The Masons are out to destroy the right to private property, the rights to worship a God in an organized religion, and the right to set up government based upon a concept that government exists to protect man's and God's given rights in life, liberty, and property. The Masons teach you are here to think. If you can think, and to learn if you can learn. Those who wish to expose the Masons can think and they can learn. And what they can learn after thinking is simple. Some of the Masons worship Lucifer, and some of the 33 degree Masons want to destroy the right to private property, the right to orderly government, and the right to worship the God of the Bible. And the student can now become some of the Masons have told them. They stand convicted by their own words. Wow, that was good. And I'm about to go to sleep. Like, share, subscribe. Like, share, subscribe. Good night, and thank you to all my